know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I want, Lindsay, I don't know if I want to know. What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. First and foremost, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. I have been betrayed. Betrayed. The man who was supposed to love me the most did the most treacherous thing that he could possibly do. This morning, while I was in bed, slumbering peacefully, my husband, Chavez of Czechoslovakia, shot a video by himself that we were supposed to shoot together. And I just don't know how this injustice is supposed to be born. This level of betrayal is too much. It's too much for me. But am I gonna sit here and cry? Am I going to let a man dictate what I can and can't do? No. So now I'm shooting a video that we were supposed to shoot together without him. So, joke's on you, husband, and my video's gonna come out first. We were supposed to shoot a Lindsay Nikole video together. He went ahead and shot one by himself, so now I'm going to shoot one by myself. This is Zoologist Answers What the Flip is that? And it says in parentheses, don't eat while watching this. So I feel like it's a good thing that I've decided to skip breakfast this morning. I'm super excited to see what this video has in store for us. Chavez's video will probably be out like tomorrow or something like that, but we'll watch mine first because I'm the better spouse. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
This video is sponsored by Scentbird. If you've been following along with this series, What the is this? You know we've covered a lot of ground, from deep sea alien looking specimens to animals that are technically immortal, cannibals, toxic creatures, and a variety of objectively unpleasant species. Well, this episode will be the worst of all. Because as we know, the internet is filled with viral videos of mystery creatures that look gross, seem gross, and make you question, what else do I not know about if I just found out about this? I'm going to introduce you to a few of them. Explaining it might make you feel more at ease about their existence, or it'll make you question your own. We'll see what happens. Sweet! And please, I will only say this once. Do not eat while watching this video. Consider it a sincere warning.
I'm kind of stressed. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I knew that this video was probably gonna be like a little sketchy. It was gonna make me feel a little icky, but something about her deadpan delivery is really making me feel like I'm not prepared, and I thought I was. But whatever, let's get started.
It's time for another episode of What the Fuck Is This? Worms and Maggots edition. Before we get into it, let me state the obvious. I have a different hat on. I left the safari hat in my friend's car and I just realized about 20 minutes ago. I spent the last 20 minutes panicking about it, put on the beanie, and this is what we're working with today. So, this won't happen again. Is that all I have to say? I'll do better next time.
This is my first introduction to you, well, technically second introduction to you, Lindsay. So I don't mind the different hat. You know, it doesn't distress me at all. So you're good in my book.
As always, we're gonna get the general information out of the way. Surprise, surprise, like every other video in this series, it is a bunch of invertebrates, more worms. And of course, we're throwing a maggot into the mix. Invertebrates take up the vast majority of animals on this planet, as you can see in our beloved cladogram, which represents how big groups of animals called phyla are related to each other. All but one phyla are invertebrates, and at least 8 of those phyla are worms. To refresh your memory on the other video we spent talking about various worms. Clearly there's something ideal about the worm body form. Maybe it's that they can reach cracks and crevices that other animals can't. Just slide right in. Or maybe they're up to something that we're unaware of. Regardless, evolution obviously likes the worm form. They live in every habitat imaginable, from the deep sea tube worms at the hydrothermal vent to the Russian nematodes that maybe survived cryptobiosis for 36,000 years. Some can get chopped up into tiny little pieces and regenerate as several identical worms, and some even bark like dogs.
What?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? However, not everything that looks like a worm is a real worm, because nature doesn't like to give shit to you straight.
The pride flag. That's funny.
Oftentimes, they are the larva of some sort of insect, like inchworms, not real worms, or maggots that arguably look like thick, blunt worms. Maggots are the larvae of flies, specifically. Every fly started off life as a maggot. House flies, cheese flies, fruit flies, you name it. They all pretty much look like this. Dude, one time I was helping my friend move into her new place.
You're gonna say something gross.
To about 1,000 maggots in the kitchen. It was terrible. And now she has my hat. Despite preferring to have them not living in your home. Maggots have been important in not just ecological ways. They helped disprove spontaneous generation. This idea that things can just spawn into existence, like fish in a river, or rats in an attic, or maggots on rotting meat. People used to think they just respawned there. And spontaneous generation was kind of just accepted as a thing from 400 BCE to the 1600s. And then this physician named Francesco Redi was like, nope, no way, not a thing.
It's false. No, not this time.
In 1668, put meat in different types of covered containers and proved that maggots didn't appear unless the flies were able to lay eggs inside of the container. Thus, spontaneous generation is false. And then it had to be super disproven later on by a different guy.
Louis Pasteur. He's one of my favorite people in history because I really like his name, and, you know, pasteurization is great.
But anyway, a round of applause to maggots for contributing to advancements in scientific understanding. And before I introduce you to today's maggots, I want to do one of the worms first. We're going to do worm, maggot, worm. So here's the first worm.
Cool. Oh,
that is a collective mass of tubifex worms, also called sludge worms or sewage worms.
Worms. Something about the cadence of how she talks is just like really endearing and really engaging. Like tubex worms, sewage worms. Like I really like it.
They're in the phylum Annelida, so they're related to leeches, earthworms, and bristleworm that we talked about in the other worm episode.
I should watch the other worm
Annelids
episode.
are segmented worms. They have little repeating body segments that they extend and contract to move around. You know how earthworms move? They kind of like reach out, extending their body,
then they're like,
and they slingshot forward. That was a dramatic way to describe it, but you know what the fuck is going on. There's over 15,000 species of annelid worms.
Jesus.
And 16 of them are tubifex worms in their own little genus. Tubifex worms are found in mud, lake floor sediment, sludge, sewage, hence their other nicknames. Anywhere they can find decaying material, they fuck with. Polluted water with no oxygen kills everything else, fuck it. Why not? They love living in squalor, clinging onto the sludge while they feast on it. But sometimes they don't have enough sludge to cling onto, and so they cling onto each other, forming compact, giant, pulsating blocks, like the one seen in the video that brought us here today.
That thing looks like something that you would find in a video game. Like it's very Resident Evil, very like Darksiders. Those are the vibes that it's giving me. And I understand that I just quoted like two completely different games. Darksiders had some gross shit in it, okay? The point is it's disgusting. Republicans see that and they're like, it's a baby.
They'll also do this in response to changing environmental conditions like temperature and water currents. It's a stress response. So they're stressed out, hold on to each other real tight, which sounds cute until you see it. It just looks like something humans were never supposed to see.
Agreed.
You know? But they've been useful to humans in a variety of different ways. First, historically, they have been great live fish food. So I guess you could technically see that as more of a benefit to fish than humans, but it depends on your perspective, I guess. They're a good source of protein. And
I'm not gonna eat those. Oh, she meant for the fish. I understand. My bad.
They're a good source of protein and easy to breed, so good fish food. You just, of course, have to be careful where the tubifex worms came from. You shouldn't feed them to fish if they came from sewage and sludge, because that's about 110% bacteria and parasites. And because they're often found in bodies of the worst water possible, they're a good indicator of water quality. See tubifex worms. Okay. I will not drink that. And they're also studied in labs for a variety of different reasons, because they can survive in such horrific conditions, filled with all different types of pollutants and bacteria. So they're seeing if they could possibly be used in bioremediation, breaking down pollutants in different systems. That's the first one. How are we feeling? Do you feel better or worse now that you know what the fuck is going on?
Okay, low-key, I do feel a little bit better. I do feel a little bit better. Thank you, Lindsay. Also, how kind is she for inquiring about our feelings? Look at that.
As we move on to today's maggot.
Guys, my tampon looks weird.
Oh my god, what is that?
If you've followed me for a while, you already know what the fuck is going on. These are called hoverfly larvae, also known as rat-tailed maggots. Rat-tailed maggots. Ooh, that one was really aggressive. Rat-tailed maggots.
Wait, no, you should have kept the music going. I was ready.
Unlike our other blunty, wormy maggots that we're typically familiar with, these ones look like rats. That tail is a tube called a siphon that they use to breathe while they're underwater because they are of the aquatic variety. Aquatic maggots. It's not a tail, it's a snorkel. They're often found in putrid and rotten water because they don't give a fuck They have a snorkel. They can handle the sewage lagoons and cesspools with ease. They're also found on rotting vegetation and sometimes inside of toilets. Rat-tailed maggots are the larvae of a number of different species of fly. The one that's usually talked about is the common drone fly. What's it called again? Let's see. Aristolis tenax. That's the common drone fly. But there are other hoverfly species that start life as a maggot with a snorkel. And they grow up to kind of look like bees and hover around like bees. This was likely a defensive adaptation, looking like a tough guy to scare off the other tough guys, even though you belong across the street at Weenie Hut Jr.
Are you saying I belong at Weenie Hut Juniors?
And like I had mentioned, this isn't the first time I've ever talked about rat-tailed maggots. I'm gonna fucking lose my voice. It's possible that you found me through talking about them. I've made several TikToks over the last couple years whenever they go viral again, explaining just a fraction of what I've described already. Actually, usually I've just kept it to saying they're rat-tailed maggots. Because really, what else do you need to know? That's it. So, for this video, of course, I had to do some digging. Because turns out there's plenty else that you can know about these little maggots. I bet that you're not gonna like it.
I don't know if I'm ready for this. I don't know if I want... Lindsay, I don't know if I want to know. Can't we just like go to happy hour, have a nice couple of cocktails, some small plates, and just like get to know each other? Can't we do that instead of this?
I found a paper. Turns out there's plenty else that you can know about these little maggots, and I bet that you're not gonna like it. I found a paper called Intestinal Myiasis Caused by Aristolis tenax, which is their scientific name, of course. It describes a particular case of myiasis, which is essentially where a maggot becomes a parasite of a living human or other vertebrate animal, feeding on internal tissues. It can happen in, I'm so sorry, in the skin, eyes, nasal cavity, in wounds, in other parts of the gastrointestinal tract. This particular case was intestinal. A woman in Spain was dizzy, had a little stomach ache, which pretty common, but also noticed them exiting her.
I have a question for God.
Yeah.
Dude, the way the paper described her symptoms was fucking crazy. Because they were in that order. It was like, okay, so she was a little dizzy, she had a little stomach ache, and she was also shitting out maggots. Like, yeah. We have a case of maggots.
No shit, Sherlock.
How are you gonna put all of those on the same diagnostic level? So, that's it. I think you get the gist. I won't go more into detail. Actually, yes, I will.
No!
Let me tell you how she got them. Either the eggs were deposited on food that she ingested and they somehow survived the trip down, which is really rare. So the other option is they went in the other way. Who's to say? Regardless of how it happened, this does highlight just how adaptable some species are, doesn't it? I mean, these are the lineages that will live on long after humans are gone. Same goes for the tubifex worms. They have adapted to the sickest, most polluted corners of the earth that we created with our waste and found a way to thrive there. Whether we like it or not, these are some of evolution's greatest achievements. These are some of the most ideal forms. They saw some of the most godforsaken, decrepit places on earth and said, bet bitch. And for that, I respect them.
They said home sweet home.
And as for this next one, we should at least be grateful that humans are not the target.
What's happening here? What am I looking at?
Are called horsehair worms, apparently named after an old legend that they came from horsehair that fell into a body of water and came to life. They're also known as Gordian worms because they can contort their bodies into knots that kind of look like the Gordian knot, I guess. Cool. They are obviously parasites that take over the bodies of insects and other related groups. Well, some, not all. You know, your crickets, your mantids, water beetles, dragonflies, millipedes, etc. And they need these hosts to complete their life cycle. They start out as an egg and hatch into pre-parasitic larvae and then become parasitic larvae inside of a host, and then become a free-living aquatic adult after the deed is done. Allow me to explain in greater detail. An insect accidentally eats the worm larva in a sticky string, maybe undetected on a leaf, and the larvae settle into their new home, growing as they absorb nutrients from the insect's tissues. And eventually they must leave the insect's body to complete their life cycle, and they don't do it kindly. Some species do this sort of mind control, take over the insect's brain and force it towards a body of water. The insect jumps into the water against its will and dies, and the worms tear out of its body and start to lay eggs. So the process can begin again. That is at least the general idea, because so much of their development takes place inside of an insect's body, scientists don't really see it happen. Most of what's known about this process is the videos that we see online of the worms tearing out of a fucking body. And luckily, because they are a parasite to only arthropods, they are completely harmless to us and other non-arthropod animals, the inarthropods. If you were to eat them for some godforsaken reason, you might just get a little stomachache, but that's about it.
That's both a relief and still incredibly disgusting.
So there you have it. That's it. I'd love to know your thoughts on these animals now, after learning about them in greater detail. Did it make it better or worse? Let me know in the comments.
Well, to answer your question, Lindsay, I weirdly feel both better and worse. Yeah, it's a mixed bag over here. I feel better because I like knowing things, okay? I'm a nosy bitch and I love to know things. I'm always eager to learn. But I'm feeling worse because this information is disgusting, Lindsay. This information is gross. Okay? Why couldn't you tell me something fun about something cute? Okay? Why couldn't you tell me interesting facts about baby elephants? Huh? Why couldn't you tell me interesting facts about kittens? Why did I have to learn about worms? That's gross. That's not good. But again, I do really love knowing things. So this was fascinating. This was a great time. And as gross as it was, it's still like not the grossest thing that I've ever seen. Like if we're being real, like if we're being super duper honest here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, Ho Biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.